Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ML podcast. In this episode, we are joined by James Anderson, Chairman and CEO of Guanajuato Silver. Guanajuato Silver is a silver and gold producer in Mexico. The company operates several underground mines and processing facilities and is focused on producing silver and gold. What makes the company interesting to follow is that it already has production and infrastructure in place, but still quite some work ahead to improve and grow the business. And with the silver prices that we experience today, I believe they could do so. In this conversation, we talk about James's background, how the company has grown, and the plan going forward. The video is divided into three parts. So firstly, a short introduction, which is this part. Secondly, the full interview with James. And lastly, me and Fredrik will summarize our main takeaways in Swedish for our Swedish audience. Before we start, a clear disclaimer. Nothing in this video is financial advice. This content is for educational purposes only. I am a shareholder of Guanajuato Silver at the date of recording. And with that said, let's get into the interview. Well, welcome to the ML podcast. Today we're honored to welcome James Anderson from Guanajuato Silver. James, an honor to have you here.
It's an honor to be here, Ali, Fredrik. A pleasure. I look forward to answering all of your questions.
Thank you very much. And we have to start with the leadership and the background of the management team. Because as you know, mining is a very costly business and the management is very important. So what experiences brought you to the role as a CEO of Guanajuato Silver, and why should investors trust you and your team to create shareholder value?
Yeah, really, mining is in my blood. I was born in a mining town called Timmins, Ontario. It's a very famous Canadian gold mining town. My father was in the mine finance business. My grandfather was a mine foreman in Kirkland Lake. And that's what I've done most of my adult life. I've been in the mine finance business at several different brokerage houses in Vancouver. As you gentlemen know, being in the investment business in Canada, there's kind of a subset of it that is the center for mine exploration and mine finance for the world, really. And I was a part of that for a number of years. And then, I don't know, maybe a dozen years ago, I decided that I'd like to get into the CEO role and lead some of these smaller companies. And I think I did that because I was convinced that I could spend the money better than the other CEOs that I was raising the money for. The Guanajuato Silver experience started about 6 years ago. I took control of a venture exchange listed shell company. It did not have much, but it had one project in Guanajuato. And I went there and looked at it, and I thought, the whole region looked ripe to me as a consolidation play. This is one of the great silver mining regions in human history. But at that time, the ownership structure had been divided up into a bunch of different companies, and most of the operations had been closed down. So we started a process. The first mine that we bought was El Cubo from Endeavour Silver. We paid $15 million for it. The last time it changed hands was for $200 million. And I think that it's an important element of what we've done over the last 5 years is really bought a bunch of older underground mines, most of which had not been invested very much, many of which were not operational at the time that we purchased them, but we bought them for pennies on the dollar, anticipating a sharp increase in the price of silver and gold. After the El Cubo acquisition, we purchased all of the Mexican mining assets of Great Panther. Great Panther had gotten themselves into some trouble in a mine in Brazil, and ultimately it forced the company into bankruptcy. Just prior to that event, we purchased all of the Mexican operations for, again, pennies on the dollar. We paid a similar amount of money. It was about $15 million. And continued to consolidate the Guanajuato area. With that acquisition from Great Panther, we also bought a mine in Durango called Topia, which is a little bit different for us, but it's very high grade, and that's been very helpful. And then just in January of this year, we purchased Bolanitos from Endeavour Silver. Bolanitos is the most expensive mine that we've purchased. The total purchase price is $50 million. It's immediately adjacent to our San Ignacio mine, and there's a lot of immediate synergies that we're enjoying there right now, and will in the weeks and months ahead as we continue to the process, the integration process of those operations. So that's, the story of how the company has grown over the last number of years. We're very proud of how quickly the company's grown. We've got 5 mines, 4 processing plants, although only 3 are operational right now. We've put Cata, the plant, on care and maintenance because we have 2 larger plants in the area in Guanajuato, and we feel that it's just more economically beneficial to do that. But in an industry that often prides itself on advancing projects in scales like years and decades, we feel that we've moved the company into pretty, I think what some people would call a mid-tier producer in record time. So it has not been easy. There's been a lot of bumps in the road, and profitability has been ephemeral up until this last quarter. But nonetheless, we've built this company, and I think the future is very rosy for it.
Thank you very much for that introduction, and the story is really, really interesting. So, as stated before the recording, we have followed the story for a couple years now, and we look forward to follow the story closely for the coming years as well. So, thank you very much for that one. And as you know, there are thousands of projects around the world. What makes Guanajuato Silver stand out from other silver companies?
I think the longevity of these mines, really is quite unique. Usually, when you're talking to other companies, the one of the standard questions is, well, what's the mine life, right? You'll often hear answers that are, 7 years, 12 years. Maybe if it's a really big porphyry copper deposit, maybe people will talk about it in a 20-year or 25-year kind of time frame. Valenciana, in particular, our mine right in the middle of Guanajuato, it's been operating for 450 years. Cubo's been operating for 140 years in kind of a modern context. The mines, Bolanitos and San Ignacio, depending on how you measure them, they're at least 25, 30 years old. So I think the ability, if the company that owns these mines continues to drill from an exploration and development process, and as well as doing significant development work, and what I mean by that is tunneling to new areas of the mine, so long as the company continues to invest in those activities, these mines will last a long, long time. My wife and I have just been blessed by having our first granddaughter arrive. I expect that she has a chance of working at these mines in the future, and they will last for many generations to come.
Happy to hear. Congratulations for that one.
Thank you.
And so it seems to be that you have a lot of exploration potential. You see that these mines are growing bigger and for the long time. Is that correct?
Well, that is correct, and it's an interesting situation. It's kind of an interesting setup. Obviously, these mines have been in operation for a long time, and yet all of them have been underinvested in for different reasons. The difference between Cubo and the Great Panther assets, for instance, Cubo was shuttered in 2019 because silver had reached $17. Endeavor Silver did a very professional job of winding operations down, but in the months leading up to that, well, they did considerably less exploration, less development work, as they very professionally closed the operations. The Great Panther operations were starved of cash for some years because all of the money was going to Brazil, to the Tucano operation. So for different reasons, these operations have not had proper 21st century exploration done on them. And then as we've bought them, well, money was really tight for the last few years. So really, we didn't get a chance to do the amount of exploration that we wanted to do. We certainly did some, but not to the degree that we wanted. Today, we have 8 drills turning on our properties. we've just completed really the first surface drilling at Topia in, I don't know how long, in years and years and years. There's exploration opportunities all over the place. Now that the Bolanitos and San Ignacio operations are working together as one unit, there's places where the geologists from both teams couldn't drill because they would have had to go onto the other side's area to drill from. Well, we don't have that problem anymore, so we're drilling drill holes from one side to the other and back and forth. So there's those opportunities. Sabata is the direct extension of Valenciana, which makes the total strike length along Veta Madre, which is the principal geological structure. Over the centuries, people have taken 2 billion ounces of silver out of that structure. But now we've got 8 kilometers of that, and it's never really been looked at all as one operation. That's something for 2027 and beyond. We don't have a mind to that right now, but nonetheless, it exists as exploration potential. And then there is our El Orcon project. It's about 85 kilometers northwest of Guanajuato. So it's close, but not right next door. It's just over the state border into Jalisco, but it's a past producer. There's 5 kilometers of underground tunneling. We did 1,100 channel samples last year. The results were excellent, very high-grade gold. There's about 12 different on-echelon structures there. We'll start drilling that in the months ahead, and I'm very excited about that particular project. It's something that kind of stands apart for us from an ability to be able to put new resources in front of us in a very contemporary kind of format.
You mentioned a lot of interesting things there. I remember a year ago, a year and a half ago, the silver prices were hovering around $25, $30, and I saw an interview with you back then where you mentioned that at $27 we're doing really good. At $31 we're thriving, but now we see $75. So how good are you? How well are you? How healthy are you right now? How much money are you doing? And you can do a lot of things with this capital, I think. As you mentioned, the underinvestment in the sector for the last decade has been brutal because of the low silver prices, but now we're heading into a new reality.
Well, I think so all of what you say is true. I think if you ask investors, okay, so what would you have Guanajuato Silver do with the extra money? Should we pay down debt? Should we do exploration work? Should we buy more equipment? Should we do more development work to be able to tunnel towards areas of the mine that we haven't had the cash to do? How about all of the above? Because that's what we're doing. And now, is it targeted? Well, believe it or not, it is. And we do have a cash flow in the company today that really we've never had before. And I'm looking at a couple of the highlights from our Q1 results, which were just announced a couple of months ago. Record revenue of $43 million for the quarter. That was 89% higher than the previous quarter. But one of the key focuses for me is EBITDA. I think it really, for a small mining operation, it really helps to define, okay, well, how much cash on cash is actually coming through the door here? Well, that was $13 million for the quarter. The previous news release to this one as well, what we did is we took the opportunity to reduce by about 30% the only principal debt that the company has, which is a gold loan with Ocean Partners. Ocean Partners is the company that we sell most of our gold and silver concentrates to. They've been very helpful over the years, providing debt capital and equity capital. But we took the opportunity to extinguish about 30% of that gold loan. We do not have another payment on that until May of 2027. So I think that's a really good spot. And I think I mentioned along the way, we've got 8 drills turning right now. What are we doing with some of the money? Well, we're spending it on drilling because we've got lots of mineral to find, and we've got an ability and the finances to be able to do that right now. Let me jump quickly, if you will, Ali. Some of the people have pointed, the higher costs, especially all-in sustaining costs, and that's fair. But I would say, that's not an IFRS measure, so it's very difficult or impossible to compare that number between company and company and company because everything it's all different, right? All of the salads are made differently by whatever the chef is putting into them. So for us, all of that development work that I'm talking about, all of the drilling that I'm talking about, all of that goes into all-in sustaining cost. And so naturally that cost goes higher. It will remain higher for the next several quarters at least as we continue to make these outsized investments in the mines. But nonetheless, and that's why I come full circle back to EBITDA or record mine operating income at the mine level. That number is $14.3 million for the quarter. So yeah, spinning off very good money with these prices. Many people talk about higher prices yet. For me, right now, these prices are very good. Thanks very much.
Happy to hear that one. It's as you said, you're putting money into work back to the mines where they belong, and you do the development work that you couldn't done for the last year. So I really appreciate that. And Frederick, I think you can move on with the discussion there.
Yeah, and I liked when you talk about the Q1, and especially when we come to the ISK, we also talk about inside the community, and then is many people talk about right now. So the ISK is going up, and what's happening with the cost and everything. And we said, and then we used to say that we need to stop there and look what's inside it because that's what's interesting. If it's costs inside that ISK that takes the company forward, growing, make the better earning in the long run and everything, that's good ISK. So I'm not worried about it. We see it, but we can also see what's inside it. So that's nice to see. And if I gonna challenge you a little bit, if you're looking for the Q2 that we are inside now and soon finally is ending, what can we expecting taking further from the Q1?
Well, of course, we don't have those numbers yet, and it'll be a couple months before those numbers are all compiled. Also, we've still got June production, but I guess what I would say generally, Frederick, is more of the same. The price of silver and gold are, our net prices that we're selling the silver and gold for are down a little bit, but not much. The production is good. It's still not great. We have room to improve, and I was talking to you and Ali before we hit the record button on this, and I'll reiterate that. I mean, if we have an 8-cylinder vehicle, we are not hitting on all 8 cylinders just yet. Ironically, in the first quarter, a lot of that was due to Bolanitos, which was the mine that we purchased in January, and we were quite convinced that that was going to be our shining star as we went into 2026. It stumbled a little bit. It stumbled because some of the development work that really should be done was not done. There were a couple of broken down pieces of equipment that all happened at once. So we've had to play catch up a little bit in that operation as well. But I anticipate that as we go into as we close out the second quarter and go into the third quarter, all of those challenges are going to be behind us. And we can look forward to even better operational hits as we go further into 2026. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you very much. It does, and then we're really looking forward for the quarters that are coming. I think the third and fourth quarter of this year will probably be the most interesting quarters for 2026 to follow. So thank you. And if you're raising the head a little bit, and if you're looking forward, say like 18, 24 months, what are the step-by-step plan for Guanajuato going from here?
So, I detailed a little bit the rapid growth that we've had in the 5 mines that we have right now. And we're very, very proud of that. It takes other companies years and years and years to be able to piece those sort of things together. We've done it quickly. The company is not big enough yet. We need to continue to grow the company. However, as we've always done, we won't pull the trigger on something unless we can see that it's going to be accretive to shareholder value right away. If it's not, then maybe it's just not for us. There's a lot of valuations in the marketplace right now for other companies have gone up considerably. And so for me, for the rest of the executive team, when we're looking at potential expansions of our business, we have to be very careful about that. There are other assets that are more dormant right within the Guanajuato area that I think we might be able to act on. And then there are special situations either within Mexico or outside of Mexico that I think maybe we can target if the prices are right. But for the time being, if we don't see the right mix, we have our hands full right now with all of our operations. There's plenty of places, plenty of work to do to make our operations better and expand our production and just make the business more bulletproof for any problems that might arise in the future. And of course, those sort of problems in the mining business are usually unpredictable. They usually come out of the clear blue sky. So the stronger that you can make the balance sheet and the individual mines, that's what we want to do.
I like what I hear. And I also think the organic growth and cleaning of the balance sheets and make like a war chest with some money and everything is a good first steps for the coming year. And then when and if opportunities gives you, it's a good time to pull the trigger and see what the market can gives us. So nice to hear.
Agreed.
And if you look like an alignment with shareholders, how much of the company do you personally own today, and then how is like in the inside structure looks like?
Yeah, my wife and I own about 8 million shares of the company. We're not active in the market, and we're not active in the market for a couple of different reasons. I take a longer term view. We're building the company, and we've built the company from nothing really about 5 years ago into it's got about a $400 million Canadian market cap here right now. So it's a substantial company. I believe that I have a very high respect for the marketplace. And I think the market is always correct. Well, the market's looking at Guanajuato Silver, and it's a little bit quizzical. Is that first quarter, is that real? Can they do that again? And I think as we go into quarter two and quarter three and prove to people the degree to which we can make money on these assets and the degree to which we can make the assets better, the market will come along and the market will be stronger, and we will do very well on those shares. I just to fully answer your question, my wife and I exercised some options maybe 3 or 4 months ago. They had been set 5 years ago, right? So these are not options that we turn around 2 months later and exercise. That seemed like a good idea. We made very good money on those. So happy to do that, and we're not shy about giving stock options to the executive suite at Guanajuato Silver. It is an important element to be able to align shareholders and management, and to be able to attract people to the company. So that's good. The only other thing that we've done in the marketplace lately, I exercised some warrants, which were coming due at the beginning of May. We didn't sell any shares to cover that. We simply exercised them. They were at a good price, and that just goes into our holdings of the shares.
Nice, thank you. And I'm with you there. I think when we look at it, is the insider share structure looks really good. It's interesting. You have a few warrants out. When are they exercising overall?
Yeah, so there's several different warrant series that are outstanding. Again, I don't make any apologies for that. We've raised money along the way in order to buy mines. If you look at a lot of the other, especially the Explorcos out there, they've got just as many shares issued. They've got just as big a market cap. Where are their 5 mines, I ask, right? We've raised the money and purchased steel and resources and equipment, and so we're quite proud of that. Anyway, There is a warrant series that comes for valuation in October of this year. They are 35, that's 35 cent warrants. And there's, gosh, it brings into the company about 6.5 million Canadian dollars. All the rest of the warrants don't come due until 2028. And
Yeah.
they are at significantly higher prices, 45 and 65 cents.
Nice. Oh, that's good. And I think the last warrants from the 28 is from the last private placement you did before the buy of the Bolanitos, I think. So that's nice to
Correct.
know.
And we didn't, we didn't necessarily know that we were going to be able to use that money for that. However, it's a really important point. If you're looking at, additional share dilution and what the company has done, well, we raised the Canadian dollar equivalent of 30 million US dollars in the fall. Well, we took that money in January, gave that to Endeavour Silver, and bought a new mine. We haven't raised any additional money, and yet today we've got about 25 million US dollars in the treasury again, even while we're spending the accelerated spending for drilling, for additional tunneling and development work, additional equipment and betterments at our plants, especially at Topia, which has not had very much money spent on the plant in many years, and we have a program to complete a number of different improvements on that through the year.
Thank you. We appreciate that you see the value of our shareholders and the share structure. So keep doing that. And the last question, interesting, is the risk, because all investments or projects have risks. And what are the biggest challenges and risks you see with Guanajuato coming forward?
Well, I'm going to answer that question in a way that I don't think I would have answered it 2 or 3 years ago. I think the risks in Mexican mining today are greater than when we started this project. Um, and there's a number of different levels of risk. Certainly the organized crime that exists in Mexico, they don't seem to be going away. And in fact, their major export of drugs into the United States, that's being curtailed somewhat. And so they're looking around for other business opportunities. There are also sort of governmental risks, and it comes sort of full circle into, well, how helpful are the municipal, state, and federal governments to mining at this time in Mexico? And generally, I would have said moderately helpful a couple of years ago, which is about as good as it exists on planet Earth, because most governments don't want any mining at all. Let's just face facts. Today, I think that they're not quite as helpful as a couple of years ago. I hope that that's changing. Just recently, with some of the headline news, we've had much closer dialogue with some of the state representatives. So I'm hopeful and observant of some of the better changes that we see here right now. But in terms of risk for Guanajuato Silver, I have to rate that, in the top bracket.
Well, James, thank you very much for your time and all the insights. We really enjoyed the conversation both off and on cam. So thank you very much for taking the time to speak with shareholders.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. I really appreciate the long-term support for Guanajuato Silver in the marketplace and the interactions. And I look forward to meeting you guys in person, and I look forward to doing this again soon as well.
Thank you very much, James, and take care.
Cheers.
Och då är vi klara med inspelningen av ett samtal med James Anderson från Guanajuato Silver. Så det är superkul att kunna samtala med bolagens vd och sådär. Och leverera det för er följare på Instagram, men i synnerhet medlemmarna inne på ML Community. Så vi vill säkerställa att vårt kapital jobbar på de bästa platserna. Och för att vi ska säkerställa att våra pengar jobbar i bra bolag så vill vi såklart samtala med de här bolagen också. Och ML sitter i en sits där det finns en klar fördel för bolagen att samtala med oss också, vilket gör att vi får de här möjligheterna att prata med bolagen. Så att det är någonting vi gör inne på ML ganska frekvent och tänker att vi laddar upp en sån här samtal nu med Guanajuato Silver efter att vi har publicerat ett inlägg på Instagram om bolaget. Så hoppas det uppskattas. Men till James Anderson och Guanajuato Silver, en intro om honom bara är att han gav en mycket bra bild. Känns väldigt tryggt att ha han som CEO för bolaget där han har en tydlig plan framåt. Han vet vad han vill och en tydlig plan liksom med ett bra track record. Det finns tydliga anledningar till allt som han har gjort historiskt i bolaget och man får ge honom beröm för hur snabbt han har tagit bolaget dit de är idag. Från att ha varit värt noll så är de idag 400 plus miljoner kanadensiska dollar och är förmodligen på god väg mot att bli en billion dollar company och mer än så. Har du någon inblick i James Anderson som person då, Clay?
Ja, men man inser ju någonstans att han är ju liksom stöpt utifrån den ekonomiska världen. Så han är ju inte en geolog i grunden, vilket blir ganska tydligt när man sitter. Han är kanske inte samma fokus som vissa CEOs har med att liksom borra och grade. Utan här är ju fokuset verkligen att skapa en tillväxt, skapa en lönsamhet med cashflow och sen så maximera produktionen framåt då.
Precis, nej, jag håller helt med. Så att vi går vidare. 5 saker som vi tar med oss. Och de här 5 punkterna är tanken att vi ska snabbt summera caset, vad det är så att alla som lyssnar förstår. Jag kan ta första punkten där. Guanajuato Silver är en guld-silvergruva. De har 5 stycken guld-silvergruvor i Mexiko med silverfokus upp mot 60%. Ungefär silver rent, vilket är väldigt högt i sektorn. De har också 3 mills och man är anlägen i Mexiko i en stad som heter Guanajuato. Så man har mestadels av sina fyndigheter och projekt där, vilket gör att de är som en distriktcase där man liksom har tagit över ett helt distrikt och att det är deras. Så att det är Guanajuato Silver. Vill du ta nästa punkt, Clay?
Ja, men, och spännande. Och jag gillar ju det där när du blir en district producer. Du har anläggningar närliggande. Du kan använda samma manskap och bemanningar på anläggningar. Du får mycket synergier att ligga ihop då. Och just när vi kikar på nästa punkt då, så ganska nyligen här i början av året så förvärvade man Bolanitos som är en anläggning som man köpte från Endeavor Silver. Och det kliver egentligen in och blir en av de större anläggningarna för Guanajuato. Och det som är unikt med den då är att den har en större andel guld, vilket många glömmer. Att utöver alla de här silvret som man producerar årligen så kommer man faktiskt ha en betydande andel i guld som kliver rakt in på bolagets cashflow-räkning. Så att den kommer bli en game changer för bolaget sett framåt och kommer verkligen att lyfta caset. Tittar vi nästa, så det vi var inne på och ser någonstans, det som är unikt med Guanajuato är ju verkligen hävstången mot ädelmetallerna. Räknar man ihop på guldet och silvret i sig så står de ungefär för 97% av de totala intäkterna till bolaget. Det vill säga att man har inga andra polymetalliska arter som zink och lead och det. Och det är några få, men det är så väldigt lite. Så att det är verkligen ett superbett när det kommer mot silver och mot guldet då. Fjärde delen är att man sitter i ett fantastiskt läge. Läste man sista kvartalsrapporten precis innan så valde man att betala av en del av sin guldroyalty. Man har en guldroyalty som gäller i 2 år till. Man plockade av en royalty för hela kommande år, vilket gör att man bara har sista året kvar att betala av sen. Annars är bolaget helt debt-free. Man har 30 miljoner i kassa och man har just nu vänt om och har ett positivt kassaflöde. Vilket kommer båda bolaget väldigt gott framöver. Så hävstången mot silvret är nog bland de högsta i sektorn. Den låga värderingen, den höga andelen silver och silverekvivalenter gör att när silverpriset rör sig uppåt så har vi sett vid alla tillfällen tidigare att Guanajuato är ett av casen som rör sig starkast i sektorn. Så det är ett väldigt tydligt och bra bett om det är så att man vill ta exponering mot silver.
Precis, snyggt. Och bara för att addera där, borde lagt det i första punkten och nämnt det i första punkten egentligen också, men det är att de är ett junior producer, som ni ser, strax över 400 miljoner CAD i market cap. Det finns betydligt mycket större bolag som vi har lyft på ML och på Instagram tidigare, till exempel First Majestic Silver. De är liksom 20-30x större i värdering. Så det ska man ha i åtanke. Det här är inte en storskalig producent här och nu, utan det är ett mer riskfyllt case ur den aspekten, där man har pratat om överlevnad tidigare år när silverpriset var på 20, 25, 30 dollar, så pratades det om överlevnad. Nu när silverpriset är på 75 dollar i genomsnitt senaste veckorna, så printar man mycket pengar. Och då har man för första gången kapital nog att faktiskt investera i sina gruvor. Tidigare har man pratat om överlevnad, som sagt. Nu kan man tjäna pengar, plöja ner det i investeringar i gruvorna. Vilket gör att kortsiktigt så har vi sett att kostnaderna har ökat lite, vilket oroar investerare. Men för oss som ser bortom den kortsiktiga, vad som händer, så ser det väldigt bra ut. Vi tycker om att de investerar pengar i sina gruvor. Det behöver de göra och ska de göra efter att i flera år inte har kunnat göra det. Så att de sätter sig i en bra spot. Och jag tänker att vi rundar av inspelningen där, så har ni en kort summering på svenska. Ha det så bra och tack för att ni har lyssnat.
Tack och hej!